Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Jesse Olitzky of Congregation Beth in South Orange, New Jersey. This Shabbat we read from Parshat Chukat. In it, Miriam dies, and when she dies, the well dries up. Torah tells us that as she traveled with the Israelites throughout the wilderness, throughout the Midbar, a well of Mayim Chaim, of fresh water, traveled with them, and whenever the Israelites got thirsty, she was able to satiate them. She was able to quench their thirst and provide water for them. When she dies, Torah tells us that the community was without water. And Vayikahalu al Moshe ve'al Aharon, that the Israelites joined up against Aaron, against Moses, and they said, we should have died in Egypt. Why did you bring us to the wilderness just to starve to death, just to die of thirst here? A repeating theme that they say time and time again. Moses and Aaron turn to God, and God says, take your staff, Moses, and speak to the rock. Order the rock to provide water for the Israelites. Odd, since previously God had told Moses to hit a rock, and when Moses hit a rock, water came out. And so Moses turns to the Israelites and says, Shimuna Hamorim, listen up, you ignorant people. Listen up, you selfish, unthankful idiots, essentially. Shall we get water from this rock? And he hits the rock and water comes out. In the end, God tells him, because you did not trust me, because you hit the rock rather than spoke to the rock instead, you will not enter the promised land. Odd that Moses, who took the Israelites out of Egypt on this journey throughout the wilderness, is not able to enter the promised land with them. God is punishing Moses because he hit a rock instead of spoke to a rock? It doesn't seem to make sense. But I think that's not really why Moses did not enter the promised land. God saw in Moses, Shimuna Hamorim, he screams, that he lost his cool, and he was no longer the level-headed leader able to take them into the promised land. What makes a good leader? Do we expect our leaders to be perfect? Do we expect our rabbis to be perfect? If you expect me to be perfect, you're going to be disappointed a lot because I'm far from it. Nobody is. Interestingly, Torah ends when Moses dies by saying that no other prophet ever rose in Israel like him, who saw God panim el panim, face to face. This imperfect leader who wasn't good enough to lead the Israelites into the promised land was still the greatest of all leaders, the greatest of all prophets. If we look to our leaders, be it our religious leaders, our community leaders, our educators, our politicians, our elected officials, if we look to them for perfection, we'll be disappointed time and time again. Because nobody is perfect. None of us should ever strive for perfection. Instead, we just strive to be better and strive to be the best version of ourselves. Sometimes we may lose our cool, like Moses did. Sometimes we may hit a rock instead of talk to it. But all the time, may we always strive to be better. May we always strive to lead all of our communities to the metaphorical promised land. May we all reach that land together. Shabbat Shalom.